Welcome back to another new release rundown. I am joined today by Elle from Mox Boarding House.
Hi.
We're here today, as we are every week, to talk about awesome new games that have just been released to retail. So super excited to hear about these sexy looking games up here today. But Elle, how about first tell me a little bit about Mox and yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure. So Mox is a game store in the area. We have two game stores, one in Seattle and one across the water in Bellevue. What's really cool about it is we have a cafe at both places where you can drink, you can eat, come in and play games. We have tons of games to borrow and games for everyone, and as well as knowledgeable staff that can do recommendations, and a new store opening in Portland soon.
Ooh, very exciting.
Yes.
I'd say that's one of my favorite parts. I think it's one of the cool reasons for bringing you all on the show is that we can demonstrate the depth and breadth of that knowledge.
Yes.
Because some more hobbyist people walk into a game store and they're just like, oh, yes, this one.
Yes.
But nowadays, more and more people are going into game stores and might be a little intimidated or unsure about what games are good. You know, they might just pick one off the shelf and being like, oh, this looks pretty. It's like, that's a 5-hour Euro game.
Yes, and we definitely have that, and that's what we're here for. Is definitely we have people that come in and they're like, I heard about this game and I'm interested in it, and it's like a 6-hour game, and it's like, that's great, it's really fun.
Yeah.
Let me find something that's good for you.
Right.
That might work for you, and sometimes that is what's right for them. Sometimes what's right for them is something a little bit lighter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, so we can just jump in here. I would say if you have a favorite or something, like if you have something you want to save for last, like I like to have like a big exciting one right at the end. Not that the first one won't be your favorite too. I realize that makes sense.
We'll go with my second favorite.
Perfect.
How about that?
Yeah.
So Deep Blue. Deep Blue is a new game from Days of Wonder, which might sound familiar. They did like Ticket to Ride, which most people are familiar with. And what is really cool about Deep Blue is that it is a family-friendly game. This is the perfect game to play with your family, family game nights, or with a casual gaming group, or if you just it does have some strategic depth to it. So if you have a mix of players that some want more in-depth and some are not up for that, this is a perfect game for that.
Nice. One of the cool things about Days of Wonder is they only release one game a year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like they make sure that that's their quality and that's their standard. They have a high standard. They're not just putting out fodder all the time. Like this is something that they really have put their heart and soul into.
They stake their name on this game. I would say Ticket to Ride is one of my favorite games of all time. It's one I've played the app version hundreds of times. It's one I keep coming back to. And like you said, having that balance of strategy and yet easy to teach, so you can kind of get anyone to play this game. Let's talk a little bit about the theme.
So you are divers trying to collect treasure from the ocean. And a mechanical thing that I really like about this is a push your luck, but a thinking push your luck. So a lot of push your lucks are, they're quick, they're short. You either go for it or you don't, and you win or you don't. This has a lot of strategy and thinking involved in it. And then you're trying to push your luck, but other people can jump into your dive when you're pushing luck. So for instance, I might start a dive and you might join me, and I might be pushing my luck knowing that I have cards to mitigate disasters. You might not have that, and I'm trying to push it so that I make you leave because you can't handle what happens, and I can still take care of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the push your luck style. For those of you, most of you probably know what push your luck is, but that's like you're upping the risk and danger, and it's a very like, it's so much my style, and I would say it's more of a kid thing or like a casual thing.
It's a lot of fun.
Right, yeah.
And especially when you pull it off. Like when you push your luck, like sometimes it's like, in this case, you're drawing stones out of a bag, and some of them are treasure that are worth a lot, but they might be obstacles that cost you oxygen, and if you use too much oxygen, you lose the dive, or even creatures that might be attacking you might have to deal with that.
Nice.
So you're drawing things out of the bag, and it's just really cool because at a certain point you're like, I don't have it. If I draw something bad, I'm done. But if I draw something good, then it's going to be so amazing, it's worth it. So it's really cool. It also has a cool deck, not building, but like deck pool building aspect to it, where you're able to buy cards and they go straight into your hand. And then the cards that you use go in your discard pile. and you actually have a rest function where you just shuffle your discard pile and take 3 cards out of it.
Okay.
So it's kind of a unique mechanic in that sense, in the way that the pool building works.
Nice.
Yeah, and those are cards that mitigate those things. Like, for instance, if you hit too many blue stones and you would lose, you can play a card that would be like, okay, I have extra oxygen saved up.
Sounds another very popular push your luck bag puller game, Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yes.
Recently has been very successful.
Much so, yes.
Sounds like it has some elements of that.
Yes.
And also
sure.
Deep Sea Adventure by
Yes, that's actually what I first thought of when I saw this game was Deep Sea Adventure. I was like, yes, a diving push your luck. And Deep Sea Adventure is very popular. It's a lot of fun. This is like a similar theme, but in more of a thoughtful game.
Yeah.
So that one is more like gauging where other people are at, and this one has a lot more strategy and what am I going to collect, and how am I going to do this so that other people, because you actually get to join in on other people's dives.
Yeah.
How am I going to make it so I get stuff out of the dive and they don't?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if we all get the same points, then it wasn't worth it for me.
Right. And I love that thing too, like almost co-opetitive. It's like, I mean, it's not cooperative, but you're working, you have to work together to get stuff. And I love that. You're
trying to, like, because you can use other people's dives, you're trying to be near people so that you can, they have to use their action for it, and you can just like jump in and be like, oh, that's right, I'm just going to piggyback.
Nice. I love
so
it.
it's pretty great.
Art is amazing. Days of Wonder usually has really cool components too. So these boats over here.
Yeah, really cute boat meeples.
Yeah.
And there's like some variety. You have like starting tiles and more advanced tiles that go in different places, and you shuffle each of those sets individually. So it's not going to be exactly the same every time. Plus, with Push Your Luck, you're pulling things out of a bag. Lots of replay value there.
Yeah. This actually sounds really cool. I'm looking at this now. I'm like, oh no, I have so many games.
It's really great.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So let's talk about Icarus.
I was just going to go for that one.
Were you going to?
Yeah. We're on the same wavelength over here. So this is something completely different.
This is a very different style game. Yeah. So Icarus is a storytelling game. This one actually reminds me a lot of The Quiet Year, for people who are familiar with some of their storytellings, except for this one's much longer. So this game's about 2 to 4 hours, and what's cool about it is you are developing a civilization. And as you develop the civilization, you are going to try and make changes to it and improve it and make it this great civilization. And while doing that, you're going to be adding dice to a tower. When the tower of dice falls over, Icarus has fallen. And then you answer a couple questions at the end, like what happened to it? What happens after the fall in the wake of this disaster? And what caused it to fall? What different aspects of the community were putting pressure onto Icarus that caused it to not stand up?
And I believe the dice that you're stacking are like the failure dice. It's like if you fail your rolls.
Yes.
That's very thematic too. It's like you put your crit fail dice in a cage or whatever, but here your fail dice are literally your imminent doom. Yes,
exactly. So you have each person will have like a different thing in front of them with different aspects that like their proposals they're trying to make. Like we should have like healthcare for all, or like this field is about to be burned, and they're trying to get different things to pass, almost kind of like ballots, and people get to put their dice on different aspects that they support. So maybe my character is a great politician and I'm going to support this, or maybe my character is someone who is like a teacher and I want to support a cause for learning. I get to explain, I can support whatever I want, but I should explain thematically why I, as my character, am supporting that. And I get to place extra dice there. You then, at the end, will roll all those dice, and the ones that are successes will determine if it succeeds or not. But all the failures will go into the tower, into the monument.
What if you're just really bad at stacking a tower and you have 3 dice and it falls over?
3 dice, I mean, I don't know.
I'm good at stacking dice. I'm saying, what if?
I think it could get a while. I mean, then your civilization did not last very long.
Fair.
Although I suppose if you were willing to fudge a little bit, if it was too early, I'm sure your group would be like, okay, like we're just, that didn't happen.
Someone bumped the table, right?
Nothing happened. Like, This is not a game that you want to play like on a rickety table with someone who's going to be shaking their leg under the table the whole time.
You need it in a fortress. In like a dampening block,
you need like a special,
like these for earthquakes.
Right? For sure. And the person who had those dice, those negative dice, is the one that has to put it on too. So this isn't like you pick the person who's the best at putting on dice and they do it. Like But it also is very interesting because it thematically allows you to be like, how far will this civilization get before it just becomes overwhelmed by the social pressures?
Yeah. Thematically, it's really, I love that. It reminds me a little bit of Dread with your pulling the blocks out of the Jenga tower.
Yeah.
Just anything that builds that tension and just knowing the society is going to fall. I assume this is for one-shots. It's storytelling, so it's not exactly one role-playing, but you would play like one session.
Yes,
of this,
exactly.
basically.
Yeah. So it's very it's not exactly role-playing, but like I said, you do have character. Like you'll have a character that you represent.
Okay.
And you are saying like why they support one cause over another, and what they really like about that cause, why they're going to do that, and what their motivations are.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's something you can just get together, pretty straightforward mechanics.
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. It will take a minute for setup, and this is a game you want to play with people who are creative or people who are like to tell stories. Someone who's kind of more shy or not as into that kind of thing maybe would not enjoy this as much. But people who like to tell stories, which is most people really enjoy, this is a great game for them.
Yeah.
And it's great for families too. This is like 8 and up. If you can tell a story, which everyone knows an 8-year-old can definitely tell a story, then this is fun for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as a designer of storytelling games and someone who's trying to push this as a theme, there aren't a ton of, there's a lot of indie storytelling games. In retail, like there's not really a section. There's like role playing and then board games. And like, where does storytelling games go?
Yeah.
I think there should be more. I think that people feel like they can't tell stories, but if you give them a little motivation a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of people like, when I first started doing role-playing games, I was like a little uncomfortable. Like I was like, I don't know how to do this. But I think storytelling games are the perfect in between because they kind of prompt you and they say, what do you think, like, how you're this person, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
And then they give you prompts, and so it's not so freeform.
Yeah.
And it's very accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's by Renegade Game Studios, who I've just been so impressed with the breadth, and they're very experimental and just putting out like all from role-playing games
and
to
high
board
quality
games.
too. Yeah. Their games have all they're very high quality. They're well supported. They're well thought through. They tend to come out really good.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah,
cool. That is Icarus.
Perfect.
Build your city, watch it fall.
Yes. How about something a little lighter? Encore.
Cool. So I looked this up.
Yes.
It said the mechanics were music and singing. I have no idea what that means. Do you actually sing?
No.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if you're looking at the same game.
Oh, I was looking at Board Game Geek. So to be fair, the categories on Board Game Geek are not always accurate.
I was going to say, if the categories are music and singing, I looked at the wrong game.
Oh. Oh.
It is. Does this look like the one you were seeing?
No, that was a different one.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I was like,
yeah.
I swear I learned how to play this game, but that made me doubt myself.
No, I looked at the wrong one, so I'm going blind here.
I could see where a game called Encore, though, would be about music and singing.
Yeah.
So this is actually from Stronghold Games, which this is part of a line of roll and writes that they're currently doing that started with Gonchon Clever and included other games like Dizzle and a handful of others. So those started coming out early this year. So now we're on to Encore.
And there's the Double
So Clever. Yeah.
Twice as clever, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so this is the new one in the series. When I first looked at this box, I was like, I don't know how this gameplay works.
Yeah.
But what's really cool about it, I think, is you actually have a number of different columns, and everyone starts in the center column.
Okay.
So you roll dice, and they have different numbers and colors associated with them. And then you're actually able to move, you're moving, crossing out that many of that color, but an X has to start in that center column or be next to an X you already have.
Okay.
So you're kind of like working your way out in sections, trying to spread out. Now, the further out you get, the more points those columns are worth, but you do have to complete the entire column to get the points.
Okay.
And the person who completes it first will get more than everybody else for completing it.
Yeah.
So it's actually really intriguing, and it's kind of something that I think is hard to explain without like doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so you like start in a center column and work your way out.
Yeah.
And you're kind of balancing like, I really want to reach really far versus I want to actually complete a column to get the points. Because you don't get points for getting out unless you complete it. So you have to balance that. Is it better to go out really far and get lots of points from those outer columns, or just complete a bunch of columns closer to home?
Yeah. I would definitely say it's one of those things you got to play. Like for me,
Yes.
Ganshong Clever when the app came out. Do you know if this one has an app? It probably...
I don't. I was actually thinking about that last night, because I was like, if this one has an app, like,
Yeah.
I totally want it. But
This one, Dropout...
yeah, they both have apps that are really good.
They're really good, really addictive. Everyone was playing, and I'm like, I can't play an app right now. Like, it will take up my whole life. Yeah. And I finally caved at some point, and it did take up my whole life.
It does, yes. Yeah.
So it is interesting with these types of games. They're very satisfying. The nice thing about an app is it will teach you, but this seems like maybe a little simpler than something like a Ganshong Clever.
Yes, this is actually a lot. Ganshong Clever is not particularly complicated, but it can be overwhelming. Like the concepts are a little new. It's like we compare it to better Yahtzee. It's more critical thinking Yahtzee. And this is something that is very accessible to most players. The nice thing about roll and writes is they're quick, they're accessible, they're small boxes, and you can play in most cases. This is rated 1 to 6. So, it's a wide range. And a lot of roll and writes are a wide range of players, which allows you to play with various groups of people.
Does every board look the same?
Yes. So the boards are actually, I know that was one of the things I was curious about. The boards are actually all the same. So it's all about your decisions, which is kind of nice too, because it's not like, oh, well, you got this board that worked better with what we had. It's about your decisions that you make, and you actually roll. It's like 3 colored dice and 3 number dice. And then everyone chooses one of each. So you have a lot of options to choose from. There's also some wilds, which at first I was worried about, because it's like, if there's wilds, why wouldn't I just do wilds all the time? You do have a limited number of wilds you can use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like this just super satisfying, right? The
it
whole roll
is.
and write thing. People are like, oh, there's too many roll and writes or whatever. But
then you play them and they're all great.
Yes.
And they're nice and they're casual. They're replayable because you got the dice, so they're not the same every time, which is really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was not what I was expecting from.
Surprise!
I looked at the box too. I was like, yeah, that looks the same. There's so many Encore games. So this is the one that has just released. Not what I was expecting, but now I want to play more.
The
honestly,
Encore roll and write from Stronghold Games.
Stronghold Games.
Yes.
Awesome.
So you can find the right one.
Yes.
Although I'm sure the other ones are great too.
And if you go to Mox Boarding House, I'm sure somebody will be able to point you in the right direction.
Take you right to it. Yes, on new releases and everything.
Right. Are we going to stick on the side?
I think so. I was going to switch, but then I was like, but we're so close to just doing a full side at a time, perfect. So we may as well. Meeple Party. So this one is kind of unique in its field. So it's a cooperative game, and it's kind of a puzzle and thinky game that is unique. Like, there's not a lot of co-op games that are about throwing a party. Yeah. So here you are throwing a party for these meeples, and you are these meeples, which are the little wooden figures, and you are roommates. Yeah. All working together to make sure this party is a big hit. Yeah. And you're trying to get photos. So this is like an Instagram-friendly party. Yeah. Like, you're like, I really got to post something on Instagram. I got to get the cool kids all in the same room. I got to make sure that I get pictures of these people together so everyone knows. 2 flirts in the same room. Or I got to get 8 people in the kitchen eating cake so I can prove that we just had a great time. Yeah. And so as you're throwing this party, you're also being careful to avoid things like stress. Like, if I get 2 jerks in the same room, a fight might break out. That would not be good. Yeah. So you're like trying not to get too stressed out about things where the party will end too soon. Yeah. And this is a movement game. So on your turn, you draw a meeple out of the bag, and then you're welcoming, that's the meeple that arrived to the party. And you're going to welcome them in, and you're going to usher them into a room. And they're going to have an effect on that room. For instance, a cool kid might pull someone from a different room into their room, or a jerk will push someone out. And you're going to use that movement to arrange people into the correct rooms. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. This is, I love how much this uses the theme mechanically. Like, it's a very thematic game, and what's nice about something like that is it all makes sense. You know, jerk comes into the room. Once you learn that rule, you're like, of course, this color meeple will have this effect on the rest of
and once you start playing, it's going to be really intuitive. And this is also, I believe it's Heather O'Neill. This is her first solo game, but she's worked on other games before as well.
Yeah, she's part of 9th level games.
Yes, she is part of 9th level. And one of the cool things that she focused on with this is rated 13 and up. It is a party theme, but she did make sure that this was family friendly, which you don't always get in party themed games. So while there is drinking, it's minimal. It's not like, and you're not trying to get someone drunk and passed out and then kick them out.
Yeah,
it's not a rager. Yeah. It's just a house party, and there's nothing overtly like sexual or inappropriate for younger families.
Yeah, and I will say this is parties for the Instagram age. So
yes. We're trying to get pictures.
Right.
Like that's the whole goal.
It's like I grew up a long time. I went to college a long time ago.
Yeah.
And back then we didn't have Instagram.
Yeah, this is the whole point of this is to get great pictures.
Yeah.
And what also is really cool about this that you don't see in every co-op game, but you do see in all the good co-op games, is the ability to change the difficulty. That adds a lot of replay value.
Nice.
With co-op games, you find that if they don't have difficulty changes, you can beat it.
Yeah.
Like you can figure it out, and then it's just, you have it done. But this has difficulty. You can add rooms, like the office isn't necessary, but you can add an office to the house, and
so
that's going to add. It's modular. It adds complexity to the game, as well as you can increase the time of your party. So your party can go like from 6 hours to 12 hours. The game will not take that long to play. Fortunately, that's just game time, not real time. But every time you take a photo, the hour clock will tick. And then you get a special action that you take at that point as well. But the longer it goes, the more likely you are to get stressed out. So it adds a complexity level that you can change the difficulty of the game, which is nice. So if you're playing with newbies, you can play on a lighter difficulty, or with younger kids. And then if you're playing with people who are more experienced, you can up that and make it more challenging.
Yeah. Magic Maze did that as well.
Yes.
And I would agree with you that games, more modern cooperative games,
yes.
like including that as an aspect, you want to play it gives a lot of replayability.
It does, yeah. It makes it, my opinion, that's the first thing I look for in a co-op game is there a difficulty scale on this? And that's what's going to tell me whether or not it has a lot of replay value, or if it's like something I can play, 6 or 7 times, and then I'm going to just know how to beat it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got to play around with this a little bit. I didn't play a full game, but definitely I agree with you that it's just looking at the box, like you're a little unsure of what to expect.
Yes.
But when you crack it open and actually play it, it's a really cool, really interesting, well done game.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like mechanically, I think it's pretty straightforward once you start playing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So that is Meeple Party.
Yeah.
All right, now we have a whole
let's
side
go
over
with
here.
Spyfall.
Spyfall, sweet.
Yes.
So Spyfall is, can I say classic at this point? It's been
I
around
think
for
so.
a long time.
Yeah, Spyfall is like a classic at this point. Yeah.
Cryptozoic.
Yeah.
I actually still haven't played before.
Spyfall?
Spyfall, yeah.
That's
it's one
fair.
of those classics where I'm like, I feel I need to do this just to learn more about the game industry.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Spyfall Time Travel is the latest, so it's the third one. So there's regular Spyfall. They came out with DC. Now they have Time Travel. I actually prefer this one over the DC one because with the DC, everyone needs to be very familiar with the DC universe.
With the characters. Interesting.
Yeah, whereas with like the locations and stuff, whereas this one, it's less necessary because most people know like what they have some assumption of what Tokyo in the year 40,000 is going to look like. They're going to think high tech, they're going to think or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus with DC, you might not know like what the Batcave looks like. So the way Spyfall works, for those who have not played it before, is that you have a number of cards with a location, and they're all the same locations. Basically, the idea is a bunch of people are at the same location, and then you have a spy who doesn't know where they are.
Yes.
And everyone's talking to each other. Like I might ask you, it's how's the weather out today? And to see if you're on my team. And then you're going to answer me in something that's vague enough that you don't give away the location, if possible, but something that kind of might confirm to me that you know where we are.
Yeah.
While the spy is listening to all of this and trying to figure out, well, where are we? Okay, so it's warm. It's, maybe there's a lot of computers around. Maybe it's, things like that. Are we indoors? Are we outdoors? If they can figure out where everyone is, then they'll win the game. Or because mostly they're going to be asked questions as well. And if they have some idea where they're at, they can give answers that suggest that they know what it is. However, everyone else is also going to be asking questions, trying to figure out the spy. And if they fail to answer a question correctly, they will all know, you don't know where we're at.
Ooh,
You're not
that sounds really
part
hard.
Of this. It is. It's a lot of fun though, and it's really casual, and that's basically the entire rules. So it's low complexity. It's a great party game, easy to pick up, easy to play, not too crazy.
Yeah, I have been playing for an amount of Fake Artist Goes to New York.
Oh
lately,
yeah.
So it's like very
that one
much
is great.
feel.
Yes, it's a very similar thing, right? Like one of these people doesn't know what everyone else knows, and they have to fake it.
Yeah.
And kind of use what other people give them So,
but this is a pretty small box.
Yes.
There's a fair amount of content in here,
yes.
right? Because I've seen, being at Mox, back when I used to work at Mox, I've seen the box be open. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff in there.
There's a ton of scenarios. And basically what that is there's a bunch of packets, and each packet has all the cards for a location and then the spy in it.
Okay.
And you can have all those different sets. So that way you shuffle it up and they don't know. Like if there's 3 locations, you play 3 times, and then they're like, I know it's one of these 3 places.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of locations.
Yeah.
And so that way they don't know for sure where they are.
Nice.
Yeah.
This one's 2 to 8 players. Says it plays in 15 minutes.
It's fairly accurate. Like
Nice.
15 minutes. It's a really quick game. It's basically everyone looks around the table and asks each other questions. Like, you know, I went running today. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
And they have to answer it and hopefully give away just enough information to say, I know where we are. Do you? Do you know where we are?
Yeah.
And kind of trade through that.
That's the thing. What if the spy is asked first? That sounds really hard.
Then they would have to come up with some sort of vague answer. And
Yeah.
sometimes people trying to be vague enough to not tell the spy might seem suspicious.
That's
and
the whole crux of the game.
that's
right?
the whole crux of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not trying to be too specific because then the spy will know and they'll just be able to answer too.
They'll be like, oh, well, there's a bunch of green bushes around. And
Yeah,
everyone's
I'm like, oh, we're in the park. Exactly. And so it's okay for you to have an answer that's suspicious once, but people will follow up by asking you more questions. And if you have more suspicious answers, your cover might be blown.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go around like is this a set number of rounds?
No, it's just until everyone feels like they have an answer, or they kind of know. Generally, it comes out, either the spy figures it out and can go along with all the answers and everyone's like, I don't know who it is, or you have someone who's like, okay, it's definitely them. Like, they have no idea. Like, we're in a building and I just asked them how it was today and they're like, man, it's so bright out here. And it's like, okay, yeah, they're it. Yeah.
Okay. So there is Spyfall 2, DC, this one. Do you have a recommendation of which one to get? I mean,
I like this one.
I mean, I love the time travel theme.
I like the time travel because it's stuff all over the place, and I feel like it's all fairly recognizable. Like, you have like Stonehenge or things like that.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff that I feel like is common knowledge that most people are gonna be able to guess.
Yeah, and I really like that too. I mean, I also love the theme.
And I think I like the theme better than the classic. Like the classic Spyfall, people could guess as well, but this theme I think is more attractive.
Classic Spyfall, was that just like more spy-ish locations?
I mean, it's just more general locations, just generic. Like, they're very generic locations.
Yeah. I also I feel that game designers learn over time.
Yes,
you know, so there's like always little tweaks to the rule book.
And the more things come out, and
yeah. And this is so. I want to play this. I think it's a great party game, great family game, easy to teach people. I think it's important to know what it is because I've seen this so many times, and just with the art and even reading the description, you're like, I still don't know exactly what that is.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine how it plays until you like open up the box and you look at the cards. And even like the first time I had someone, like, we tried to play it and I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's not that it's complicated, it's just that it's different. Like, it's something that's different than what you normally see in party games.
So this is the kind of game I love to talk about and love to push, because it's one where someone like gets in, they figure out like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite game. Now that I understand what's going on.
Yeah, and it's super, like, it's easy to learn, and it's a new concept that most people aren't used to. Like, wait, I can ask you any question? Like, I can ask you what color pants you're wearing? Okay. I don't know how that connects, but sure.
Like, what color pants are you wearing? Purple. No,
red.
Shoot,
Oh no, I'm the spy. Yeah, exactly. And this actually also has roles. So like each person will have a job title. Like, if you're in, futuristic Tokyo, I might be a hacker, or you might be like working at the bar, like the bartender, and we're hanging out, and so you can ask them questions about like what they do for work, because you're not going to find a hacker in Stonehenge, and so that can also give you some hints as to what's going on.
Because if you're a spy, you don't have a role.
You don't know, like, you don't have a role, you don't know where you're at, you don't know what roles are acceptable.
Oh yeah, man, it would be like, oh, what did you do for work today? And it's like Stonehenge, Tokyo, and like medieval times.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Like,
I took out my sheep. You're like, oh wait, no.
I went for a walk. I
had the day off today. Don't worry about it.
I'm a religious religious person
yes,
who
there
does
you go.
religious things.
Yes, yeah. So it's
Cool.
it's very interesting, and it's kind of fun to play with a lot of like a large group of people in particular.
Nice. It looks like it has really cool flavor and art to it too. So.
Yeah, the art's very interesting if you look at it. There's all kinds of fun stuff.
Viking longship 900 AD, Cannibal
Yes.
Tribe 1505 AD.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
You got that Volkswagen bus on the back too, and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's do Bad News Bears.
Okay,
next.
I was gonna say, wow, we're like on
yeah,
the same
we are. Like we
wavelength
just know
today.
where we're
I
at.
was just like, yeah. So I'm excited about this. I
Yes.
played Barenpark maybe 2 years ago. It was kind of before I'd started playing, maybe like 3 years ago, before I'd started playing a lot of board games.
Yeah.
And oh man, just the box art of that and all the bits of it come out, and you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing.
Yeah, for sure. Barenpark is, for those who have not played it, is a tile placement game where you have these Tetris-like pieces that you're trying to fit into your own personal park area. And Bad News Bears is the new expansion to it, which is awesome. It's a very cool game, especially if you like that kind of what's it called?
Tile placement?
Not tile placement, but spatial reasoning.
So yes.
If you're good at spatial reasoning, this is a great game for you, and it's a great game for families. For families to play together and for mixed groups. I know a lot of gamers that play it with people who are not so much gamers because it's conceptually easy to understand. Complexity is fairly simple, but there's a lot of strategic depth to it, and a lot of important decision making that keeps gamers intrigued without making it overwhelming to people who don't play as many games.
Yeah, for the original one, I just think it's so clever. You cover up, your board has symbols on it. You cover up the symbol and you just get that thing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have a market, you don't really have to, you just choose your placement.
Yes, where you place it matters.
And get the thing, get either a new board or new tiles or whatever. So it's,
and
it looks overwhelming, but yeah.
Yeah, and you have to think about where you put stuff because you want to make sure you have tiles for the next round.
Yep.
So now Barenpark Bad News Bears with this expansion adds a 3D element to this.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's got like...
It adds monorails.
Yes.
And so the monorails are really cool. They have to be at 90-degree angles and exactly 3 spaces away from each other. And so it's very, it adds a lot of spatial reasoning and a lot more planning, because before you could be like, well, I can kind of get this piece over here and this piece over here. But now if you're trying to build a monorail, you have to think ahead a lot more. This adds a lot of strategic depth, like I said, and this makes this game go from an in-between game that's good for both to even more appetizing for a gamer, for more of a hardcore gamer, because this adds a lot of strategy, a lot of planning ahead. People who like chess and things like that. This is the kind of game that might be enjoyable as well, because it's very planny and like, what am I going to do? It also has really big pieces now that you can like get these huge pieces that take a lot of planning to get these giant Tetris pieces to fit into your park, and you don't have to do it, but by doing that, you can kind of get a one-up on your opponents.
Cool. And you said you could replace pieces?
Yeah, so...
Because that wasn't in the original.
Yeah, so you can actually take them off of your board, but what you do is as you gain pieces in your pool, so where you place your pieces will give you future pieces in your available resources later in the game. In this expansion, it adds these giant pieces that you can trade 2 small pieces for, essentially. There's some requirements, but essentially you trade 2 of your pool pieces for a giant piece that you then have to fit into your board. Early on in the game, it's not going to give you a huge point advantage, but later on in the game, it'll give you a big point advantage, but it's hard to do. If you're not planning ahead, fitting in this really big piece, you have to plan on how you're going to fit it. And if someone else is going for the same piece, it's going to be a race.
Yeah, so it's one of those brain burners where you're just like, okay, I need the inverse, put everything exactly around, and then you go to place and there's like one little corner that went in, you have to be, everything is ruined.
Yeah, and it does add a lot of like single pieces that you can fill in spots with this one, because they're like, now that you have these big pieces, you're going to need some more single tiny ones to fill in.
Nice. Because before it was just the bear statues that were the single piece, right? The scoring ones.
No, there was also the toilets.
Toilets.
Those outhouses. They're small pieces. But yeah, no, this adds. I just really love this expansion. It makes it so much more in-depth and strategic. It's already a great game, and then this is the great way to like up it and take it to the next level.
Yeah, that's why I love it as an expansion too, because you can like you said, have the base game for if you're playing with new gamers, less experienced gamers, and then when you have your game night you want to up the complexity a little bit, and plus you already know the base game.
And you can ease those new gamers into something a little more in depth as well, because the first one is so accessible, and this one adds new goals and just so much strategy to it. It really is amazing, and I love it as an expansion. It's great.
And the Bad News Bears. I mean,
I know, right? They chose their name well.
Yeah, I love that it's just so clever. That's the kind of thing. And this is by Lookout Games, I think, is a smaller publisher. So it's one of those things you can get in, you can squeak through, right? It's I got a name, Bad News Bears.
Yeah, it's great.
And I would be here
and it's all those. And all those new pieces are the grizzly bears. So in the past, right, you had the polar bears and the brown bears, and now you have the grizzly bears. Yeah. So
didn't you have something else that wasn't bears? The koalas or something? Or
I think there are koalas.
Yeah. In the rule book, it's very. I remember this very clearly. It's we know these aren't bears, okay?
Yeah.
Just don't yell at us. We know it's not bears.
We're just gonna do it anyways because they're cute. And we want to.
Don't yell at us on the internet. I know you're still going to, but it's not bears.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
It's good. It's good.
Barenpark goes 3D modular expansion. Cool.
Yeah.
Seems fun. All right. What do we have?
Let's do Aeon's End.
Okay,
it is. It is a big box, but it is so good and so worth it.
This is another one where I would see it all the time at Mox. It always, again, from the art and stuff, I'm I don't really know that much about it. So if, because this is a new version, but just explain Aeon's End.
Yeah, so Aeon's End, I was kind of in the same boat with you. Originally I was I don't know what to expect from this game.
Yeah.
I actually had a customer who brought it in and showed it to me, and I was immediately sold by looking at the components and the way it is. So this is a cooperative deck builder. Where you are working together to defeat a nemesis, a
nemesis or nemesis, nemesis,
the singular one. So you're working together to defeat that thing, and you are going to be building your deck as you go. It has a market that's set up similar to Dominion. So you have a set 9 cards in your market, which is exchangeable. It comes with a lot of different components, so you can change your market up, which is really cool. And you have different characters, which you can change up as well as different nemesis that you can work with. And you can choose, you can shuffle them up and play with different ones, different complexities. It has so much replay value, so many different things. That's why it's really taken off. It just is so interchangeable. There's thousands of ways that you could play a game with all these different components. No 2 games are the same.
So are you building the same deck, or does each player have their own deck?
Each player has their own deck. So each player has their own personal deck and their personal character, but you're buying from the same pool, and you have to keep that in mind because there's a limited number of resources in each item that's for sale. You're going to be buying things from the pool. On your turn, you play your full hand, just like in most deck builders, and you're going to use that to play spells against this nemesis. You also have a special ability. Every character has a charge option where you can charge up your special ability and then perform something amazing.
Nice.
And those tend to be things that will either do a lot of damage or things that might even help your friends to get stuff or to draw extra cards or things like that.
So there's some support abilities as well.
Yes, the cooperative function on it is very palpable.
Okay.
Especially with certain characters. You can play with characters that are more we're each doing our own thing, but there's a lot of characters that work well together.
Nice. And you can punch spiders.
You can punch a lot of different kinds of things. You can punch spiders. You can I think there's flaming creatures. There's all kinds of things.
a water fist, and they're just
yeah. There's giant beetle things. There's all kinds of crazy creatures that you get to fight. What's cool about Aeon's End, the New Age.
The New Age, okay. So we're here, this is a standalone expansion.
Yes.
So you can just get this, everything you need is in this box.
Everything you need is in this box. Cool. And Aeon's End has done a really good job. Their rule book is amazing. If you've ever read a rule book that sucks, you know how much that matters. Their rule book is amazing. Every standalone expansion they've come out with is really great for new players. Even their legacy is here's how you play, here's an introductory game. And so it's great, if you don't have Aeon's End, this is a great place to start. If you do have Aeon's End, they're all compatible. That's a great thing about Aeon's End. Everything is compatible.
So you can mix them together.
You can mix them all together, and that's the idea. This even has randomizers for the Nemesis for all of the other expansions and things that have been released in the past.
Yeah.
So it's completely, if you have everything, this still has value to you. However, it is a good enough game. There are games where you feel like you have to keep buying expansions. This is a good enough game. I own a bunch of them, and I don't feel like I need more to get more replay and content out of it. I just really like the game, and I end up getting more just because it's fun.
Nice.
So this adds a campaign mode, which is, they call it the expedition mode. And what's cool about that is, if you've ever played a legacy game, it's like a little mini legacy game, but you're not actually making permanent changes to the board of the game, but you are like leveling up through 4 different characters. So each of you will have your character, and you will draw like a level 1, 2, 3, and 4 nemesis, and you face them. After you face each nemesis, you get a special ability card from a pool you get to choose and add it to your deck. And the nemesis will get stronger cards as well, and then you play the next one. What's really cool about this, because like I said, it has randomizers for all of the expansions and the sets, you can play a campaign that includes any of the nemesis that you already own. Not just the ones in this box. So this expedition mode works for all the other ones as well.
So if you have a favorite...
If you have a favorite nemesis, you can totally be like, we're going to play with this one. So it's not just like, here's the components for this function for this game. They've made it interchangeable with all their other components as well.
So is the expedition mode meant to be played in a sitting or at one time, or kind of
probably not? Okay. So each game takes about an hour. If you wanted to do it, it would probably take about 4 to 5 hours to do that. It would be awesome, but you don't need to. There's definitely room in this box to keep like everyone's special separate, already leveled up decks separate, and then just pull it out when you're ready. And it's very resettable. Like we can do one today, I can do one with someone else tomorrow, we can do someone with someone else another day, and that's totally an option that you have.
I really do appreciate that, because I think it's like the save file for a lot of games now. I think a lot of games are starting to do that, and that's so cool, especially because even if you can do it like part of the way through, you know, like let's take a break, or like you said, do the one session, I can like get together with the same friends next week and have an expanded experience from that.
For sure. And like I said, like, this is not a game, like this game is so good. I've definitely spent like 6-hour sessions and just played over and over and over and over again. So you totally could do it if you had 5 hours, but if you don't, you could do one at a time, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's only minor changes you make to your deck, and the changes you make to the Nemesis deck are pretty straightforward. So even if you were to put everything away, you could put it back together pretty quickly and be like, okay, now we're going to try level 2. So you can add that increased thing. The other thing that's really cool about Aeon's End, we were speaking earlier about co-op games and their varying difficulty levels. Aeon's End, with all these different nemesis that are available, not only do you have ones that are easier and harder, but each one has an increased difficulty option.
Oh, wow.
I've never played that before because there's plenty to keep me busy in the regular, but say you do feel like you've kind of beat the system, you can play those increased difficulty options as well.
Oh, wow. So do they have difficulty ratings where they're like, this one's easier?
Yeah, so this box actually, one of the cool things about it is it has, for the campaign mode, it classifies each nemesis as a 1, 2, 3, or 4 difficulty level.
That makes sense,
and so you can go through, and that was the cool thing about them including that with all the other nemesis from the past expansions, was that it classifies all those for you. So you don't have to guess, like, I want to play with this one, but I'm not sure if it's a 2 or a 4. It tells you, and it'll say, okay, this one's a 2. It goes with the 2 randomizers. Okay, now pick one of them.
So retroactively categorizes each of the nemesis in these levels.
And in the past, the rule books tend to be pretty clear and give you some idea of, like, this is going to be, this is what you should do for your starter game. This is what's going to be more complicated.
Yeah. What you were saying about the support, too, is what really catches my ear, because I think board games, video games, just like there's cooperative games, obviously, but collaborative. You know, it's really like, oh, if you come over here and do this, then I can be over here and do this, and I can like, oh, you're going down, I can like power you up.
Yeah, you have to figure it out. And this has a lot of that. This particular expansion, the characters are very cooperative. They work very well together. For instance, there's one character, I don't know if she's on the front cover, but she is on the back. She has these big goggles that are like these crystal.
I was looking at
these crystal goggles. And her special ability is she, like everyone has their charging up their character. She takes charges from them, but then she multiplies them and spits them back out to everybody. And so she's like taking charges and then she's like giving away a ton of charges so everyone can do their special benefits pretty quickly.
Yeah, so like enhancing. Like,
yeah, and it's not necessarily doing a whole ton for her because her ability is not giving her a lot. It's just helping other people, but she really makes everyone else stronger.
That's super cool.
Very good team player.
And really cool flavor and art too. It looks like it has this very special world.
Yeah, the art is beautiful. I mean, it's a well-developed game. Like they've done a lot of content, and it's not one of those games that the content is just there.
Yeah.
All of the content really adds to it, and really gives you a lot of resources and a lot of different things that you can do with it. And it's just so interchangeable. Everything, like you don't have to have everything. You can have one thing, you can have two things. Almost any two things from this series will go together. As long as you have one thing that works as a base, like this or the classic or even the legacy, then you can mix in any other expansion and they're all interchangeable.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Right, Aeon's End, the new age.
Yes.
So I believe we have one game left.
We do.
And we said this was going to be your favorite game?
Yes.
You're your favorite
So like this one and Aeon's End are like two of my favorites.
Yeah.
So it's
like
definitely
a tough call.
one. Yeah, it's a tough call. So the Menace Among Us, I have not had a chance to play this one yet, but it looks so good and I'm dying to get a game in. This is, it reminds me a little bit, it's somewhere between Avalon and Dead of Winter.
Okay.
It's this secret identity game. Thematically, you are on this spaceship and your energy, your power supply has gone down, which means your oxygen is no longer being produced and you have a limited amount available. So you need to fix your power supply before your oxygen runs out. The trick is, some of us are loyal crew members trying to do this. Some of us might be menaces and trying to get everyone to die or time them out essentially, make them run out of oxygen. What's cool about this over some other games is it's not just about how well you can role play your person. Like it's not just about how much I can bluff. I actually take actions, and I can take actions that people could interpret in either way. Like for instance, if I'm the doctor, I might heal you. That sounds good, but it uses 2 oxygen to heal someone from a wound. So you don't know, I'm going to tell you I'm doing that because I want you to help us later. I don't want you to die. But I could be the menace just trying to suck the oxygen out of the room. So it's totally an option. The other cool thing about it, everyone gets at the beginning, you get dealt a card. And that card is going to tell you your loyalty. Are you a menace or are you a loyal crew member, which is ultimately your goal. But you also get dealt a goal. So my goal, I could be a loyal crew member and still have, like, maybe I have a beef with someone on the crew and I want to make sure that someone dies before the end of the game. So I only win if the loyal people win and somebody died during the game.
Okay.
I don't care who.
Yeah.
If it's a menace, all the better. But if it's not, I can still achieve my goal. But I might do things that might make people suspicious of me by encouraging someone else's death. But that doesn't mean that I'm the menace. I just have some side goal. So everyone has these, like, not only their like motivation, but also these secret goals. And you get a deck associated with who you are, but then you also get a character deck. So you get your association, and you'll get a deck associated with that. And then based on that, you get to choose a character that you think would help you. So like I said, the menace might choose a doctor because they can use oxygen in a way that doesn't look as suspicious. But there's 18 characters to choose from. So there's tons of variation. And then you're going to take those 2 decks and shuffle them together. That's going to be your deck. And it's going to help you maybe cover up your motives or increase your abilities that you already have.
That sounds really cool.
It really does. It basically, I think it sounds great. And this is the Avalon for the heavy gamer. It does have a little bit of setup because you'd have to get all the decks, you have to pick out your characters and things like that. But it's a lot of fun. The other really cool thing about this is there's a boating pistol. So there's
voting?
A voting?
Voting pistol.
Pistol.
That seems kind of like an oxymoron, but...
Yeah. Well, so basically,
vote.
there's certain times in the game where you get to vote on things like, who do we think the menace is, and we're going to kill them.
Yeah.
So if you kill the wrong person, it costs oxygen, and it's bad. You want to kill menaces, not innocents.
Yeah.
But let's say we're all talking and we talk about it for however long, and someone's just like, okay, like we've talked enough. You pick up the pistol, and as soon as the pistol is picked up, everyone has to point immediately and vote for somebody.
Nice.
Like that's it. That's like, it's there, and anyone can do it at any time. So if you're like, I don't like the way these things are going, they're starting to figure out I'm the menace, like, vote now.
Yeah.
But you can also be like, okay, we've done enough. Like, so when you think that it's swayed the way you want it to, you can pick up the pistol and force a vote. Essentially, you're like doing a stand-up, like everyone votes now, kind of thing.
Yeah. It sounds a little bit like Battlestar Galactica, too.
Yes, actually, I've heard that reference as well. Yeah, that it's got some similar elements.
Yeah. I like, it's tough to say. What I want to say is I like that it fixes a lot of the stuff that's wrong with your traditional social deduction game. Those games are loved by many. I actually really enjoy them.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem with them, but I know a lot of more strategic gamers.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Because this is the same kind of thing, like sometimes one thing can be the length of time. This is 40 to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So a lot of more strategic gamers have a harder time with like, how am I going to get invested in a 10 to 15 minute game, like One Night Werewolf or things like that. Whereas others really like that. But this also adds, I like the voting pistol because it adds we can't argue forever.
Yeah, someone's going to stop it.
Anyone can say it's enough. And it's not just the way, like, maybe I'm suspicious, but that doesn't make me the person. And so you have to look at people's actions too, not just the way that they're acting. Because like I said, we have secret goals. My secret goal, I still may be a loyal crew member, but my secret goal may seem a little shady.
Yeah. The hidden goal thing too. I mean, that's in a cooperative or semi-cooperative game. Like in Gloomhaven, that's the thing. When you're having something where you're working together, you need a reason to like do the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very well thought through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And love the flavor. I mean, we talked a lot about like space and sci-fi stuff for all our shows together today. And this is just like really cool aliens, really cool characters, a lot of fun stuff going on. And I would say like this sort of a game, Blood on the Clock Tower is another one. I don't know if it's released to retail yet, but it was another, like there's games, bigger, heavier social deduction that are coming out now with lots of stuff in them, which is very fascinating because again, so many heavier gamers are just like, oh, I'll never play a social deduction game. I hate it. But now these ones are coming out.
Yeah, they're just so used to them being light and casual, and this is a lot more strategy. Like I said, like I can be like, I'm going to heal you. You don't know for sure if I'm healing you because I don't want you to die and I think we need your help, or because I'm just trying to get all the oxygen gone. So
or maybe you're just nice.
Or maybe I'm just nice and I have no motivation at all. It's not likely. It's not likely if you played a game with me.
Okay, I'll remember that.
But yeah, no, it's really great. And all the characters, there's so much variation, all these different choices that you get to make at the beginning to figure out who you're going to be. It just works really well.
Cool. Yeah. So this is The Menace Among Us by Smirk and Dagger Games, which I believe is our last game.
Yes.
I have a problem now because there's like 5 more games. I can't buy more games now, and now I want to buy many of these games.
I feel exactly the same way. Yes, I understand. But then the answer is come into Mox Boarding House, play those games, and you can try them first. Because sometimes you just need to try it.
Yes.
And if you like it, then you know you want to get it. And if not, then you played it once, so you can say you played it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's one of the great things about Mox Boarding House.
Yeah.
And as awesome as these sound, like that's the thing, that's a trap a lot of us hobbyist gamers fall into. We buy these games, like, oh, it's so cool, put it on your shelf.
And then, either you don't have time to play it, or you find out, I've definitely gone home with a game that I was like, this is amazing. And then I go, oh, it is, but it's not my game. It's not something I have the group for or things like that. So it's definitely a great way to come try it out, have dinner, and make sure that you actually enjoy it before you invest in it.
Cool. So that's all the games we have. Anything else you want to say about Mox? Anything cool you have coming up? Any regular events?
I'm going to plug some of my events that are coming up. So I do demos.
Which Mox
Thursday
are you at
nights.
again?
So I'm at Mox in Bellevue.
Perfect.
And I do demos every Thursday night from 5 to 7. And actually, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I believe it's the 26th, maybe? Something like that. Yeah.
Sounds correct.
We are doing a Villainous tournament. So for fans of the board game Villainous,
yes,
come in. It's for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
So like come in and do it. And then also for Halloween, people who come in costume can get discounts on Halloween day. So and I'll be doing a demo of Gloom on that day too because it's appropriate.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah.
We hope to see you.
That's super exciting. I love Villainous. It's so much fun.
Yes.
I would kind of like to do that.
You should come
actually,
to our tournament.
I've played it. I need to play it more. I tested it. So Force Brazan is local. They were the developers for the game, so I got to test it out before it came out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I could be a ringer for that game.
Yeah. So next Saturday tournament, Saturday at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Next Thursday, I'll be doing a demo for people who don't know how to play but
perfect.
are interested in the tournament. They can come Thursday evening from 5 to 7. I'll teach them how to play.
Yeah.
Last month we did Terraforming Mars, and we had people who had never played. Like I had one person who watched a playthrough that morning, and it was fun. Like you don't have to be an expert to come to these tournaments; they're open to everybody.
Sweet, yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Elle, for
sure.
joining us. This has
thanks
been
for having me.
Super fun. Learned about a lot of new games. Thank you for joining and watching our show today. We are here with New Release Rundown every Friday. If you want to hear about the newest games you can get your hands on. We also have Table Takes, which is our board game news show if you want to learn more about the industry. We also have the Brothers Murph on Mondays and Fireside with Peter Atkinson on Wednesdays, which I'm also hosting now. We got a very special guest next Wednesday, so make sure you check us out. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.